Hey guys, welcome back to Gamers Xtreme, and you're tuned into Radio Xtreme. I'm your host, Glacier928, and with me as always is my co-host, R17.
Hey guys, great to be back.
All right, now, E3 is just a matter of hours away. We're not even that many days far from it. So, with that being said, this podcast is strictly for our predictions at E3 and what'll be going on during the press conferences. And starting with Microsoft's press conference, R17, what do you predict is going to be shown at Microsoft's E3 press conference this Monday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time?
Well, basically what I predict, what I'm hoping, predictions and hopes, I'm hoping they start off just strong. And I'm really hoping to see some core games this year, which, as opposed to last year, was a little too much with the Kinect. It's great, the device and all that, but I want to see core games. As far as core games, I'm talking about, not first-person shooters, original, fresh, new IPs. I want to see that. I definitely want to see, or I'm predicting they're going to show either the new Xbox or at least state it. If not show an image of it and give a date, at least they're going to state it is in the progress, it is in, a manufacturing process, and it will be coming out within the next 2 years, obviously, which we know already. But, for them to announce it. They were talking about rumors about an Internet Explorer for the Xbox. I hope that comes out true for Xbox Live, because that would be great to have an internet search engine on there. They could couple that with Bing, which is already on there. But my main thing really is just core games. I want to see core games. I don't want to really see Kinect stuff. I want to see mature-rated to teen-rated core games. And as far as online updates and Xbox Live updates, it pretty much has plenty of apps. I'm assuming they're going to focus on the Kinect a little bit too, but I think the main point of this conference should be, or at least I hope to be, would be games and the next Xbox probably, because that's just been the buzz, as you know, Glacier, with every company lately. So obviously Halo, they're going to show Halo 4, that's a big thing, and the new Gears, which I'm excited for, rumored to be a prequel. I don't know if they're going to demo some of the Unreal Engine 4 there or not. I'm curious to see that. And anything else that could pull out of the woodwork. But definitely core games is my thing I'm looking for.
Oh, so you don't want Sesame Street 2 for the Kinect? And
I do not want Sesame Street 2 for the Kinect. I just want I want quality games. That I'm not saying it's not quality, but I want quality games that are geared to my audience, which is...
understanding.
Yes, exactly.
And what about the Xbox Smart Glass? What's your thoughts on that?
Again, that I did leave out. The Xbox Smart Glass, I saw an article the other day I thought was very brash and kind of inappropriate. I don't know for sure if Microsoft said it or not. It said it looked like they did basically something to the effect that they're going to kill the Nintendo tablet, basically, with their Xbox Smart Glass. From what I heard about it, it's going to control Android devices, control Windows phones. It said iOS. It's talking about controlling certain TVs and obviously the Xbox 360. How it affects gaming, other than just simple maybe jumping into a menu and out of a menu, I see that more as a smart device, an iPad, like tablet. To me, that might just be something that they stamp the Xbox stamp on, but it really doesn't affect core gamers at all. It might be cool, it might be great, and I might really like it. It might be very intuitive, but as far as affecting gaming, I don't think it's going to affect the gaming unless they show us something there that it will. As far as right now, I think the Wii U has the corner for that kind of tablet implementing it with games. But again, we can't judge until we see what Microsoft's actually going to do with it. So it's just wait and see at this point.
Right. And I got to agree with you there. It was really out of the blue that Xbox, or rather Microsoft, made some sort of a rumored announcement about this Xbox Smart Glass that's supposed to quote-unquote kill the Wii U.
Right.
I don't know if that's the appropriate word to use, because technically, yes, business is business, but when you start bashing another company and stuff like that, you start looking a little unprofessional.
Yes, very much so.
I understand it's all about competition, but again, it's that type of wording that causes this nonstop hatred amongst the internet, all this hate and smut that we try to avoid.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's a new piece of technology. I'm a tech junkie. I love seeing my new pieces of tech, so I'd love to see what Microsoft's doing. While it might not be an original concept, considering that the Wii U is the main focus with a with a console with a tablet attachment in a sense. I see Microsoft kind of they saw the Wii U's tablet last year, and they're kind of like, let's try to do something like that ourselves. I felt like they were a little threatened by Nintendo. But again, we'll have to just wait and see on Monday during their conference if they really do unveil the Xbox Smart Glass and what exactly it is. Is it just a simple tablet, or is it going to be this huge multimedia functioned device that goes with your Xbox as well as with your TV, your phone, and all that great stuff?
Right.
But like you said, myself, I'd love to see some new games, some new IPs, because I think we all know that Microsoft could use a few new IPs. They have Halo 4 that they're showing off. They have the Gears of War Judgment prequel that they'll be most definitely showing off. But aside from that, I would definitely like to see some new titles to come out. And I mean, that pretty much wraps up Microsoft's, at least with my thoughts. I know we're going to see Black Ops 2 there, because it wouldn't be a Microsoft conference without Call of Duty being shown somewhere there. But I'm going to say that they're starting off with Halo 4 and not Black Ops 2 this year. So, and whether they have an intro or not, I don't know. Last year they went right into Modern Warfare 3 with no intro, and I don't know. I feel like an intro is kind of a necessity for a conference. So let's see if they kind of...
And I would hope if nothing else, they would at least have an intro that gets you sparked and excited for people who have no interest in Halo, or say they have an interest in Halo, not Call of Duty, whatever the case may be. You just have an intro that demonstrates your games, your devices, and what you've got planned for the next 12 months. It's just a nice setup that foreshadows the rest of the show.
Absolutely. So the next thing is EA's conference.
Right. Now,
we know EA is going to be showing off Dead Space 3. And it's a pretty safe bet to say they're going to start it off with Dead Space 3.
Right.
I mean, people have been waiting, fans have been waiting, including ourselves. As far as how it looks, we have the screenshots on the site. R17, what's your take on how Dead Space 3 looks, and what do you expect to see during the EA's conference?
Right. Well, without going too much into the game, just my predictions are they are going to show a full feature trailer of Dead Space 3. Then someone will probably come on stage, and right from there, they're going to talk about, what in terms is different gameplay-wise from 3 to the first 2. And obviously, the rumors have been bouncing back and forth. And I think I just wrote an article this week showing the screenshots are showing 2 characters. And that could only mean that either A, it will be co-op 2-player game, or it might be just a co-op AI, or both. But it does look like there's a second character in there. He's wearing a suit similar to Isaac. So they have a lot to answer for in terms of that, because it is such a big franchise. It started in 2008, and without getting too deep into it, I think EA will definitely brush upon what's going to be new about Dead Space 3. So that should take up, a good portion of the conference, because it's one of EA's biggest franchises it's become. And definitely looking forward to it. Aside from that, I mean, Glacier, what do you think? Obviously, the usual sports games are going to make their rounds. FIFA, Madden, we could count on.
Yeah, those will be there.
Yeah, FIFA, Madden.
And I'm sure EA is going to want to touch on their Origin service again in some way. I know that they'll definitely be showing off Crysis 3.
Crysis 3 should be there. I mean, I know we personally are not following, and I know people are excited. They've changed the environment somewhat. It's New York, but now it's a jungle type of very rural setting, looking more like a Turok in a sense. I think Argus had mentioned something in an earlier podcast about that.
Yeah.
And, so people could be excited for that. EA is EA, and they're one of the biggest companies for producing the best multi-platform games and third-party games. So, if it wasn't for them, we would just have first-party titles, and that wouldn't be a lot of stuff out. So thank God, EA is around, and I think it'll be a good conference overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also expecting to see Medal of Honor Warfighter footage.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually very excited for, because me personally, I enjoyed Medal of Honor back in 2010.
Right. I played almost more than 50% of that game. I enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I mean, from the campaign, I thought was actually pretty well done. Granted, the very last moment wasn't exactly climactic. It was kind of just like, wait, it ended. But aside from that, the campaign itself was very close to kind of like what it's like being out there in the military. And more so, it's not a Michael Bay film that you're in. You're actually, this is what it's like out there. It's raw, it's gritty, it's nasty out there.
Yeah.
and they capture that feel. And that's why I'm excited with Warfighter, because they said that with this one, it's a much more personal approach, and how you're going to see how these soldiers have families and stuff like that. And just insinuating that alone, there's going to be the emotional attachment with your characters that you'll be playing as with their families in some way, and how you know that some of these characters will probably die, but you're going to feel an impact with them. And that's why I'm excited for Warfighter. I think it's a much more personal stake in a military shooter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on top of that, another thing that I really hope, really hope, is shown at EA's conference, because I myself have been waiting years for this sequel, Mirror's Edge 2.
Right. Yeah, you've been waiting a long time for that sequel.
Because, I mean, I love the first one. I platinumed it on the PS3. Pretty much liked it to the point where I did everything I could to get every trophy, because that's not an easy game to get all the trophies in, that's for sure.
No, I remember you going through them.
Yeah, but the game itself was a very well done game. It was fresh, it was unique, and it played extremely well. And it also has one of the best soundtracks for a video game. So I'm really hoping that DICE takes the stage and they say that Mirror's Edge 2 is in development, and that they'll be using the new Frostbite engine for it.
Yeah, which would be a huge step up for that.
Because Mirror's Edge 1 looked outstanding back in the day. Yes, some textures up close were a little res, but its lighting, its color palette, everything about it was just very well done.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. With EA, we should be seeing, hopefully, details on the new Frostbite engine, because a lot of these conferences, hopefully, are going to be talking about the new engines, because a lot of these engines are going to be utilized for the next generation of systems. So it would only be logical that EA and Microsoft and Sony, Ubisoft, and everyone would be brushing upon what these new engines are capable of, because these are going to be the next-gen engines.
Yeah. I mean, granted, Frostbite 2 was just released last year.
Right.
But
Frostbite 3 is in development, though, I believe.
Yeah, there was a rumor that DICE was working on Frostbite 3.
Right.
How solid that is, I don't think we'll be hearing about that this year. That's something we might hear next year.
Right.
I just find it hard to believe that they would announce another engine a year after they just released their latest engine.
Right.
So again, time will tell with that. But that's as far as I'm expecting for EA. There are the things that we kind of expect, and then there's the those few like Mirror's Edge 2 that are a little bit more out there and that we really do hope to see. As far as that goes, then we have Ubisoft's. Now Ubisoft's last year was a little bit of a laughable mess in terms of presentation purposes. I really hope that they don't have the same host. I'm actually making this a prediction that they don't have the same host. And it's kind of sad that I have to make a prediction on their host as opposed to what they'll be showing. However, regardless, we will definitely be seeing a whole gameplay demo for Assassin's Creed 3. I can guarantee you that.
Very excited for them.
However, I'm actually going to go on a whim here, and I'm going to predict that they're not going to just show it for the main consoles now, but rather they're going to show the Wii U version.
Yeah, I have a feeling they will too.
Because the rumor has it that Assassin's Creed 3 will be running in 1080p at 60 frames a second only on the Wii U, as opposed to the 720p and 30 frames a second on the PS3 360.
Making this the optimal version on the Wii U.
Whether it's true or not, of course, we're going to hear come this E3. However, if that really is the case, the Wii U version is going to be the no-brainer to pick up. It's going to be better visually in every way.
Yeah.
So aside from that, you could definitely expect to see the new Rayman game that was leaked earlier last month for the Wii U, but it'll also be most definitely for the PS3 and 360 and the 3DS and Vita and whatever other console I'm missing here.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely be able to see that. I'm actually, for some reason, I have a feeling that Ubisoft might be showing off some Wii U stuff, because if I remember correctly, Ubisoft was kind of one of the big backers for the Wii back in the day. I look back at Red Steel and Rayman Raving Rabbids for the Wii launch, and they definitely had some stuff to back it up. And I have a feeling that they're doing the same thing with the Wii U. So I'm curious if they're going to be showing a lot of their lineup on the Wii U. The only reason why maybe they wouldn't is because they're kind of probably going to want to reserve Wii U information for Nintendo's conference the following day.
Right.
Again, time will tell. Strictly predictions, what we'd like to hear. Aside from that, we'll most definitely see Far Cry 3 being shown off again. While last year they showed off, its announcement trailer and it's gameplay footage, This year, I have a feeling they're going to get more into it and show a little bit more of what the game's going to have to offer. The one thing I'd like to see, but they most probably won't show, is its map maker. I'm just a sucker for map making in any game. And Far Cry 2 had a pretty advanced engine, and supposedly Far Cry 3 blows it out of the water. However, I really doubt they're going to show that at an E3 conference. But if they do, that's something I would actually really like to see. It would definitely grab my attention.
Yeah.
So, I mean, R17, what do you think? Any Ubisoft games that you could think of that I might have missed?
Honestly, other than the ones we mentioned, the rumor of Splinter Cell 6.
Yes, thank you.
Splinter Cell 6 is something that I'm very interested in. I loved Conviction. You were playing through Conviction on the PC, and definitely can't complain about the game at all. It's just, it took the series in a new direction. Without getting into the game too much, it would be exciting to see a sequel to that. And just touching back base on Assassin's Creed 3. I mean, as of right now, me and you have it pre-ordered for the PS3 and 360, but after hearing the rumor details of the Wii U, I can't imagine that Ubisoft would not show it off demoed on the Wii U. I think that would be a great way to show next generation, give a nod to Nintendo, and show that, they're really serious about developing, not for any company, but for next generation platforms. And it would be nice to see Assassin's Creed on a new platform. And to see Assassin's Creed on a Nintendo system at all would be something fresh and original.
Yeah.
So, now that's for Ubisoft. I just really want to see Splinter Cell 6 and really get into Assassin's Creed 3 to see what the gameplay is going to be all about.
And now, supposedly, Splinter Cell 6 is supposed to be a Wii U title. What do you think? You think that's actually a strong likelihood, or...?
Oh, I've only known Splinter Cell on the Nintendo system because my preference, and I always had it for GameCube. So for me, that would be as natural as just going right back to the only one I ever deviated from was Conviction when it was released just on the 360 at the time, and now the PC.
And Double Agent.
Yeah. Completely forgot about that. So going back to Nintendo, that would be great. That really would be great, and it would be. I think it would be a great addition to the series if they can make it fresh and original the same way Conviction was.
And just to add to Splinter Cell as a little joke, you think they're going to keep the whole co-op, but if you jump on your partner's head, they die?
Yeah. That for anyone who ever played Chaos Theory's co-op, there was a really extreme sensitivity if you were playing with the co-op partner and you accidentally were climbing down a ladder and I guess missed one rung and jumped down a foot, you killed your partner.
It's a pretty bizarre thing, but at the same time, you can't help but just crack up hysterically when you first witness it.
Stepped on his finger and you just killed him. Just ended his life there.
Mission failed. You stepped on your partner's finger.
It was a tad extreme.
So, on top of that, to finish off June 4th that night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, is Sony's E3 conference.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be the possible PS4 announcement, which at this point, I'd say Microsoft's most likely going to announce that they have a new console for the end of next year. Sony's probably going to do the same thing where they have a new console for the end of next year. That's at least what I think, regardless of the fact that they denied it, because realistically, they're going to deny it, but it's for press purposes. Of course, they're going to have to try to keep something a secret to surprise us. So, aside from that, with the PS3, I know we're going to be seeing God of War Ascension. I know we're going to be seeing The Last of Us, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog tweeted that they're in crunch time. They're hard at work putting together an E3 demo. So obviously that means just like the previous 2 years, they're going to be taking the stage with the game, one of their games again.
Yeah.
So aside from that, I would say they're most likely going to show their PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale or Sony Smash Brothers, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They'll definitely be showcasing that. I think they'll probably announce a lot, a more variety of a character set list. Aside from that, what I want to see is not so, with Sony. I want to see some games, but with them, I want to see more features with their Vita. And reason being is because the Vita is a powerful system. I really like it. Don't get me wrong. It's just not at its potential yet. Very similar to how I felt with the 3DS last year until, E3, when they made a firmware update to let you go online and go have this whole eShop to download stuff off of. Granted, the Vita has all that from day one, but there were certain features that were promised for the Vita that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting them to make an announcement that a firmware update is very close to being released, and most likely, for all we know, they'll say we have a firmware update coming later tonight that'll enable you to download PS1 games into your Vita's memory card, so you can play that on the go without using remote play to your PS3. And on top of that, I'm waiting for the full remote play integration to be fully utilized, so that now you can play your PS3 games on the go.
Yeah, and I would love to. I mean, I don't have the Vita, but just to add that feature of being able to play the PS3 game and scaling it down to the Vita screen and playing it remotely, that was a selling point for me if I was to get it. It's still not implemented as of now, but I know you have purchased it and you're hoping that any day now it would be released. And, I wouldn't purchase it until it would have that feature, because that's a feature that's a huge selling point for me.
No question.
Yeah.
So, any predictions for Sony? What do you think?
My hope and predictions would definitely be that, obviously I don't have a Vita, but I know they're going to focus. They have to. You have to show support, so they're going to focus hopefully show a lineup that's strong for after, I think. I'm sorry?
Siphon Filter 4?
No, I've given up on that after the last 5 years.
After the last 5 years of them saying, yeah, we have it coming. The rumor is it's going to be announced. Yeah, okay.
So is Resident Evil for the PSP 2000.
Yeah. I think that Resident Evil Portable, I think they presented it at the wrong conference. I think they meant to present that at Nintendo's when they're like, yeah, we have Resident Evil Revelations on the way.
Yeah. Now, my hopes for Sony is I'm going to see core games like The Last of Us. God of War, I am interested to see. First I wasn't, but now I am interested to see. But honestly, with Sony, not even firmwares, I just want to see gameplay footage of The Last of Us. We've seen a bunch of CG trailers, and I think I'm done seeing the CG now. I want to actually see it in gameplay. I mean, I'm sure Naughty Dog's going to present us with a working demo. I have no doubt they'll show a hands-on gameplay demo. And I just want to continue to see strong support for core games like that for Sony, and I'll be happy. I mean, other than that, I can't really picture too much else. They might show maybe some Move stuff, but I think the core focus is going to be on the Vita because it's a brand new device. To me, I'm calling it now. I don't think Sony's going to mention the PS4 at all. Okay. I think Sony is not going to mention a word about it because you have to show support for the Vita. That's their new device. To even state they're working on it, I don't even think they'll do that. I think you won't hear about that till the next E3 conference. The only two people I think that are going to mention it, well, obviously Nintendo, that's without a doubt, and Microsoft definitely. I think Sony's going to play this one smart because, A, they came out later than the Xbox. I mean, PS3 and the Wii came out around the same time, Glacier, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it was actually the same weekend. I remember that the PS3 came out like that Friday, and then the Wii was literally that Sunday.
Right.
It was literally the same weekend. I believe it was November 15th was the PS3, November 17th was the Wii.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, aside from that, it's just, the PS3, obviously, there's still developers that still haven't tapped its full potential. So it would be, I think, premature to talk about a PS4. The Xbox, they were out a whole year early already, and they've reached their maximization. They find new ways to innovate, but it's time for a new system. I think Sony definitely has to just continue to support the PS3 and the Vita, and it wouldn't be right, I think, to mention another system. It would still be a tad too early. So I don't think they're going to make any announcement.
The only other thing I want to add is supposedly two things. The rumored update to PlayStation Plus subscriptions, where supposedly there'll be more tiers to them.
That I forgot to mention. I think they will mention something about that. I feel it will.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling they will as well, because apparently someone who works within Sony tweeted saying that right now is the time to get PlayStation Plus at least a 3-month subscription, because you're going to be very surprised to see what we're adding come E3. So that's kind of just insinuating we've got something pretty big for PlayStation Plus owners. So that's just something to be on the lookout for. Yeah. And the other thing is the rumored supposed agreement that Sony has with a company called Galkai, I believe. I probably butchered the name. But regardless, the whole concept of setting a deal with them is to be able to stream PlayStation 2 titles to all PS3 models. How that's going to work, not sure. But regardless, I have a feeling that might tie into a PlayStation Plus tier, where they'll start releasing more PlayStation 2 classics, but if you have a higher tier, you could just stream PS2 games that are available on the PlayStation Store. And I have a feeling that that's what they're going to announce. And on top of that, they'll probably go as far as saying the feature will be available on the Vita as well.
Which would definitely be great.
Yeah.
Be a welcome addition, especially for the Vita. If not too much is out right now, why not play a PS2 classic on there?
Right.
That I could definitely see. As far as that, that pretty much taps out my predictions and my hopes for the Sony conference.
And to finish it off, no bias here, but we're just going to flat out say this is the one we're most excited for. Nintendo's conference.
Nintendo's conference, yeah.
It's just they have the new tech.
And for good reason, not as much bias as it is a good reason. Glacier, I just want to add something. They are the first company to take that jump into the next generation of consoles. So all eyes are going to be on them. And they took both feet in because they have the 3DS, and now they have this. They have the Wii U. So they took a jump forward and went next generation with both systems. So all eyes are going to be on them, price-wise, graphic capabilities, digital capability, everything you could think of. So I'm really psyched for Nintendo. Glacier, but what are you predicting as soon as the Nintendo conference opens and Reggie takes the stage? I mean, what are you hoping or predicting?
Yeah, good old Reggie. Honestly, I know that Nintendo will this year marks an anniversary for Kirby. So I have a feeling that similar to last year where they did a Zelda anniversary opening, they're going to have something to do with Kirby. Because later this year, they're releasing the Kirby Anniversary Collection, which they haven't announced which games are officially on there yet, but it has fans excited to pick it up for the Wii. However, chances are they might have just turned it around and say, oh, it's coming to the Wii U as a launch, which would be kind of a neat collection to get at launch.
Yeah.
Regardless, as far as Nintendo's conference goes, and this one might go on for a while because I know we both have several predictions with this one. With the Wii U, I want to see a user interface, which means I want to see how the whole menu system works.
Yeah.
I want to see the integration with the Wii U, like with the Wii U's tablet, and like how everything functions there with the system. I want to see some 3DS and Wii U integration, as was promised last year, that there will definitely be a heavy amount of integration with the 3DS and the Wii U.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Nintendo's taken that first step into, some people will say it's not next gen because it's looking very similar to PS3 360 visuals. However, then we've got Randy Pitchford over at Gearbox saying Aliens Colonial Marines is going to be superior on the Wii U and will look much better visually than on the PS3 360.
Right.
So here's what I have to say to just the people who are negative about the Wii U right now. Technically, we don't know the specs of the system. We're only going based on rumors that so-called developers are talking about. And again, we don't know how powerful the system is until they take it off this Tuesday.
Yeah.
So on Tuesday will be like that real curtain opener for the system.
Yeah.
As I like to say, where they're going to finally showcase all the tech. Is it going to have a hard drive in there? Is it going to run on memory cards? Is it going to be on Blu-ray discs, which it supposedly will be? It's like all these little specs and details that we're going to finally find out after this whole 1 year mystery since last year.
Yeah.
It's finally being unveiled now.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, I want to see some, like you with the previous, with for example, Microsoft's and Sony's, I want to see games once again with Nintendo. And that's one thing I love about Nintendo. They do no BS, and they're just straight up, let's get right into it. We have games to show you.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to see.
And that's never a problem usually with Nintendo. I mean, that's really never. They always come out with a slew of games, whether it's first party, third party. Nintendo, out of all the other companies, they usually push out the core games. And I'm not to interrupt you. Keep going, Glacier. I'm sorry.
No. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I was just hoping for, aside from the core games, whether it be Mario's, Zelda's, Metroid's, Link, I mean, everything you could think of from Nintendo. Kid Icarus was released this year for the 3DS, which was amazing for fans.
Oh, yeah.
And, games like that are great. I want to see now the Assassin's Creed 3 version for the Wii U. I want to see Colonial Marines, which I've been psyched for since last year. And yes, these are all multi-plat. They're not exclusives. But if they're going to be the optimal versions for the Wii U, I want to start seeing the power of the system. I want to see that Zelda game that they demoed last year, which looked incredible.
That looked incredible.
Visually, people look at it and say, well, the GameCube could have. No, the GameCube might have been able to do it. But if you take the time to actually look at that tech video and see the tiles on the floor, the reflection of the ceiling, the reflection of flame, little details like that, you could tell this was a next-generation system that's not out now. So for anyone who is making assumptions or this or that, you're going to have to wait till Nintendo demos it. But I'll just say Nintendo knows what they're doing, and I have no worries at all going into this. Whether the Wii U is capable of this, that, or the other, I know it's going to be an instant sell for me just because I have a long relationship with Nintendo. Glacier, you have a long relationship with Nintendo.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I could say it's over a 20-year relationship. I can't say that with any of the other companies. And it just, I could go into a bunch of things, but Nintendo I just feel very comfortable with. So for me, it's natural to throw in the towel with them as a sure bet for something successful.
And it's funny because you had stated this actually a while ago, and I don't think you've ever said this in a podcast before, but essentially Sony and Microsoft are the new kids in the block per se.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's just been kind of the one to start it off. I mean, technically, Nintendo, the reason why it's so popular is because it kind of brought it back from the video game market crash back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because technically, yes, you could say Atari and Intellivision and Commodore were like, the original systems. But Nintendo's the one that kind of reinvented the whole gaming concept.
Yeah.
And since then, continues to do that.
Yeah.
What I will say, okay, fine. People want to joke around by saying the Wii was gimmicky with its motion controls, the 3DS is gimmicky with its 3D. You know what, though? You can't help it, at least I can't help but say, you know what? Nintendo's trying to be different.
Yeah.
And I commend them strongly for that. They see what the PS3 and 360 do. They see what Sony and Microsoft are doing. And they're like, okay, but we're not going to try to offer the same experience because otherwise we're the same as them. Let's do something different.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the company.
They're doing something right if Sony and Microsoft have to continually copy off of them. Whether it was motion controls they hit the scene with in 2006, a couple of years later, the PlayStation Move comes out. They want their own motion controls. Now the Wii is doing a tablet thing.
And Microsoft
just this week, Microsoft is coming out with a tablet. Now, who knows, a couple of months down the road, Sony's not going to come out with something. You're doing something right if your competitors have to consistently copy that idea, try and make it better, do it on their own, whatever. But regardless, they're getting the origin from you. So you must be doing something right. And the sales are in Nintendo's favor. So obviously they're doing something right. So again, they're like the elders. Sony and Microsoft are the new kids on the block, whether it's 10 years, whether it's 5 years or 15 years. Regardless, Nintendo has a long relationship with handhelds and with consoles. And right now, the 3DS is doing great. It's flying off the shelves. I think we saw something just this week that the 3DS is selling faster now than the DS did around the same time period.
Yes.
If I'm not, and that's a big statement for anyone to know. The DS was a huge seller. Now the 3DS is outselling that for this time period, which is terrific. It's great for Nintendo, and as long as they're going to keep pumping out quality titles, I'm looking forward to Luigi's Mansion 2. I'm hoping we're going to see that at the conference.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great title. The new Mickey Mouse game, I'm really excited for. The 3DS version looks great.
Yeah, 'cause it looks just like the Super Nintendo one.
For those of you who played Mickey's Magical Quest back in '95, it was on the Super Nintendo. There was another iteration of that on Sega Genesis. Those were great titles, and I mean, that's what's great about the Nintendo is you could have titles like that, and now you're going to have Batman Arkham City on your Wii U. You're going to have Assassin's Creed 3 on your Wii U. You're going to have Colonial Marines on your Wii U. So they're going to do a balance that maybe the other guys aren't doing. So that's what I'm looking forward to the conference. I'm looking for core games, again, like I said with the first two, but I'm looking for raw power and the specs of the new system as well as the price point. The price point has to be appealing. And $450 is just too high for this market. I think $350 is the highest you could go for this economy now. I mean, Glacier, what do you think?
I'm gonna say I'm going to say $400 is the absolute maximum that the price should be, and even that's actually going to be a hefty price.
Yeah.
$450, no way, it won't sell.
No, it's not going to sell. Not in today's economy. Not $500 with tax.
Right. It's just they won't go. It'll have a very similar situation that the PlayStation 3 had back in 2006 when they were retailing at $600. Yeah. It's just they won't move off the shelf. Yeah. The only reason it would move off the shelf is because it's a new piece of tech and everybody's going to fight over just getting it. But technically, in a matter of speaking, just it won't reach the audience it's trying to grab with that price point.
Yeah.
If it's going to release a system and it's going to want to sell really well, I'm going to say $350 should be a safe bet.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that's the case because, well, again, Nintendo, let's be fair, the 3DS was their most expensive portable to date. And I'm hoping, or they might follow that same trend with the console. No matter how you slice it, the Wii U will be Nintendo's most expensive console. I'll be completely shocked if they say the Wii U will be retailing between $250 and $300.
I will be, even if it's $300, I would be shocked.
If it's $300, that's going to get off the store shelves faster than anything else this holiday season. Guaranteed.
Here's the difference. At least to me, it's the difference with today's market, and I'm seeing with the PlayStation Vita. We saw with the 3DS when it first debuted. If you're going to have a system that's expensive, or its accessories are expensive, you have to have a strong lineup on day one. You cannot have an expensive system come out and you do not have games, at least 2 or 3 games that people want to go out and buy an entire system for. Because essentially you're buying an investment. You're putting an investment in the company by shelling out $200, $300, $400. You have to have at least 2 or 3 really solid titles there that really catch the eye. You can't just have one title and then you're waiting months on end for another title to come out. Like something like what's kind of happening with the Vita right now, where it's in a little of a stagmire. It'll probably come out of it. And the 3DS had that same kind of stagmire last year. You have to have core things. So for the Wii U, Assassin's Creed 3 hopefully would be ready. Some type of Zelda or Mario. You have to have at least 2 or 3, I think, solid titles ready day one so people could buy them. It's just, it creates that incentive. Like, I want to buy this tech so I could play this. Or, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and I agree with you there. And keep in mind, we're just mentioning, for the most part here, games that are multi-platform that we want to see on the Wii U.
Yeah.
We haven't even brushed the exclusives that Nintendo might show off.
Exactly. Exclusives we don't know anything about, have never seen a day of light, so we're hoping to see at the conference. Putting
it this way, I know I'm going to state that Nintendo will be showing off their new Super Mario Bros. Wii U edition, which will be pretty much like, I think, a direct sequel to the one that we have on the Wii. And I have a feeling that they're going to be showing that. However, like I said, we're most definitely going to see some form of Zelda for the Wii U. I think it's only right to show something like that. There's even the rumor that we covered on the site that was actually found from a website called Game Bubble, and props to them for deciphering this. But Nintendo had posted on Facebook, are you excited for E3? Can you guess what these following 3 launch titles will be? But then everything is blackened out for 3 words. But Game Bubble went the extra mile, and they actually highlighted the words to see how many characters, how many letters are supposed to be there. And apparently, they came up with a theory that a possible launch title would be The Legend of Zelda HD Collection.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty sweet for Zelda fans. And it'll be, I think, pretty much Nintendo's first HD collection.
Yeah.
So, that being said, the other thing I'm really stoked to see is Retro Studios' upcoming secret project.
Yeah, which is a lot of talk about it.
There's a lot of talk, a lot of debunked rumors, but I'm going to reserve judgment. But I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place with this one because Retro Studios is essentially Nintendo's new Rareware, as I like to say.
Yeah.
They're just an essential company for them. You know, they made the Metroid Prime trilogy, and then they made my personal favorite Wii title, Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yeah.
Which they nailed.
Yeah.
The exact feel of what it was like back on the Super Nintendo.
Such a really fun title, really throwback. The visuals were great. Art style was definitely original. It was a great title overall for the Wii. Titles like that are hopefully going to keep seeing their way to the Wii U.
And it was still a freaking hard game.
Yeah, it was definitely a throwback to the old days.
Yeah, I still don't know many people that, believe it or not, I know many people who still never finished Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not one of them. I finished it. I can say that. But regardless, I would love to see some. I want to see some hardcore, like some solid Nintendo titles, as always, because Nintendo is one of those companies that could put. Nintendo's one of those companies that could put out titles, and they remind me of like Naughty Dog for Sony, where I see that company, I'm like, they're gonna put out a pretty badass title in their own way. I don't want to see Mario and Sonic at the umpteenth Olympics. I don't want to see Mario's never-ending party.
No.
I want to see I don't want to see these spin-offs. The only spin-off I want to see that I can think of right now is Luigi's Mansion 2.
Yeah.
It's the only spin-off that's actually like a legitimate spin-off.
And, me and you had mentioned earlier, they're going to do it for the 3DS. They're going to develop Luigi's Mansion 2. They're already doing it. We saw footage of it last year. Hopefully we're going to see more completed version of it this year. But if simultaneously they want to do one for the Wii U, that would be amazing too.
Oh, man. And for launch?
And even if, another great market, I mean, Sony tapped into that market, and Xbox was doing it too now. HD collections. I mean, that's the new thing. It's like when you can't think of a new game, make an HD collection.
We're having a slow month. Make an HD collection. Okay.
I know me and you in a second would buy an HD collection of Mario Galaxy, and that just came out a couple of years ago. Mario Galaxy 2. Those are HD collections, and Nintendo, that's an untapped resource. If they haven't already thought of it, I'm sure that's on the drawing board. You could have an HD collection of Luigi's Mansion. You could have all these classics from the 64 up to the GameCube. You could pretty much do anything, and nowadays sell it. So, I mean, that could be a digital distribution. It could be hard copies, but that's a whole nother area they could get into if they're not already,
And that's actually another thing. You just touched on it, and I almost forgot about this, but this is definitely something they will discuss during E3. Nintendo is going that digital route, starting in August, starting with the new Super Mario Brothers for the 3DS, the direct sequel to the DS version. That will be the first game available for both retail and through the Nintendo eShop digitally.
Yeah.
And now they're also talking about how the Wii U is going to do the same thing. You could either buy a retail copy, or you can go on the Wii U shop channel, as I'm going to call it for now, and you're going to be able to download full retail games off the network. While me personally, I like having physical copies because I like to have that sense of ownership, which I don't get out of digital rights.
Yeah, I think pretty much me and you are going to be the dinosaurs in the next couple of... I mean, you could just see, just on a side note, digital distribution is where it's going. Blu-ray, DVD, it doesn't... All that is going to be obsolete. It really... You already have it with the PS3 and 360. You have the full game downloads on day one for stuff.
Yeah.
And now if Nintendo's throwing, their talent in with that as well, it's just... It looks like that it's the route it's going to take. But I just have to say something. I'm not trying to make some kind of moral stand here, but if you're going to do digital distribution, the only people profiting is the company. You're not paying for manufacturing of the box, of the disc. So I would just hope, this is a prediction, that's never going to happen. I would hope that the games would lessen in price, which would never happen, because they're making more of a profit, because they're not paying for it to be distributed in stores, they're not paying for manufacturing. They're not paying for shipping, so huge production values drop. So more profit rises for them. So it would be nice to see the consumer get that back in some, which would equal $10 off. So instead of 60, it would be 50, and it would make such a difference. It won't happen, but that's my E3 prediction for all three conferences. That would be nice.
Well, what's interesting with that though is, for example, I look at like Mass Effect 3, and I remember there was a big stink about. Mass Effect 3 is coming out, March 6th, and then you can get it on PSN the same day when it comes out for the same price.
Yeah.
So I have to waste 15 to 20 gigs of my hard drive space and spend the same amount of money.
Right, and if your system breaks down, whichever system it is, because they all do,
Except for the Wii right now. I'm not going to
Yeah. So it's digital distribution is going to make its way more and more, and obviously for the next generation, I think they're just going to start weeding out discs and hard copies of everything. The only thing that's going to be physical is the console and the controller. Everything else is going to be all in the air, cloud services and digital.
Pretty soon, it's going to be digital consoles where you have to buy it from your TV. There's a menu on your TV, and you just pay the $300 for it, and now you can start using it.
And they might still get lights of death.
You still might get a yellow light or a red light. I don't know. Let's use another light. I don't know.
I can't think. I just know the red and yellow.
Magenta, just because it's an abstract color, and that's the color of this audio bar that's moving in front of me here.
So, I mean, we're pretty much 48 hours away, and, we'd like to hear, obviously, everyone else's predictions and what you guys think. We're such a short time away that, these are our thoughts and our hopes of what we're going to see in the conferences. And, obviously, Glacier, we want to hear what they want to see as well. So, I mean, can you think of any other predictions you're hoping for just overall this year?
Just to finish it up in terms of Nintendo, I have a feeling we're going to see something about the new Super Smash Brothers for both the Wii U and 3DS and how they're going to be integrating with each other. That's a big statement. And that's how they'll finish the conference.
No biases. I'm not going to say that that's automatically going to kill everybody else. I'm just going to say that's a big statement.
Let's just say that if they show the new Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U and 3DS and how they're going to show like a trailer for how it's going to be like, working with the like cross-platform with each other, I don't think I need to say where that's going to end.
Nathan Drake and Master Chief have a baby. That's going to be...
So, regardless, that's our E3 predictions. We could not be more excited that we are pretty much less than 48 hours away from kicking it off and actually being able to live blog the Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo conferences within this week. So, starting June 4th, be sure to tune into gamersxtreme.org. We're going to be covering the live blogs for the following 3 conferences that we mentioned. And it's great. You guys join in. It's just a good time. We tell you everything that's happening. You guys can interact with us. You guys can post your thoughts. Again, we love hearing the feedback from you guys. We love hearing everybody's thoughts. We just have this whole communicative feel to the whole site. So again, feel free, definitely join into our blog. Stay tuned with Gamers Extreme during the week of June 4th through the 7th for all the latest E3 information, as we promise to supply you with as much news as we can possibly, fill in for the day.
As you could read.
Yeah, as you can read. So, this is Glacier928 signing out.
R17 signing out. Take it easy. Have a good night, guys.
See you guys at E3.